Today's episode of the Mind Sculptors podcast is brought to you by Dragon Shield. From their legendary matte sleeves to their striking art designs, Dragon Shield's 25 years of expertise ensures your cards remain flawless game after game. Visit the link in the description to outfit your collection and help support the continued refinement of our show. This episode is also made possible through the gracious support of our Patreon members. If you wish to join this esteemed group, simply visit patreon.com/The Mind Sculptors and become part of the SCULPTY family today. And of course, if you prefer a simpler gesture, we invite you to subscribe, leave a like, and comment on YouTube, or leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as a most fitting offering to the ever-watchful algorithm Jesus.
So, Ian, I don't know if you know this or not. You probably have forgotten about this. But this is our 200th episode.
No, this is episode 199.5.
199.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, until we get to, I don't know, episode 200 of these fuckers and 100 episodes of you as the co-host.
Wow. I'm a big boy now. Wait, I came out on episode 100?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Did we? I feel like we should have talked about this at the time. Did we talk about this?
No,
I think we did.
We forgot about it. We forgot.
That's so funny.
And we forgot at 150.
Wow. We're fantastic. So,
yeah, we're great. And we've clearly planned something extravagant, which is
we have something cooking.
Yeah, for sure.
For the real episode 200.
For the real episode 200.
For the real one. This is
gosh,
the episodes that you are more likely to click on anyways, so you're welcome.
Yeah, it's fine. You guys might have noticed we've been gone for a few weeks.
Yee.
And that has nothing to do with the fact that there was a holiday and then traveling and then lots of more traveling.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with any of that at all.
It has everything to do with definitely preparing for episode 200.
Yeah, it's because we've been putting so much effort into this episode 200 that we've been off for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're back. I don't know what our cadence will be like up into the new year. I imagine we might put out another episode or two before the end of the year, but like
makes sense.
Also ending on 200 for the year isn't bad.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate it. Although I do think we would be missing an opportunity because I will be having the one and only Veggie Wagon stay with me. So I feel like that would be a very fun excuse to make some interesting.
Oh, that would be a good excuse to do something fun like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to
maybe Veggie comes on for episode 200. Maybe that's
maybe the real episode 202.
Episode 202 parentheses the real 200.
The real 200. But yeah, so we're here. We're doing our power rankings for the month of November, and I know that this is a little bit late, but like I said, schedules, baby. So we've got some stuff going on. Also, I do want to apologize to some folks. I was going to be at Frenzy at the Falls and was all the way up until like the day before gonna be there, and then Lake Erie decided to dump all of the snow on Erie, Pennsylvania and Cleveland, Ohio, which is directly in my path to get there.
Yep.
So I instead chose to stay safe in Ohio. Well, I was in Ohio visiting family, but
I did have several people come up to me and ask where you were. And I happily informed them that you were trying not to die, which I think everyone was pretty gracious about understanding.
Pretty chill about, yeah. But I'm bummed. I was really looking forward to it. I was really excited. But Gonna make it out to something eventually. Don't worry. But with that being said, also I just gotta say, so my Mac keyboard died on me yesterday.
Yeah.
So I had to go buy a new keyboard, and I got this fun.
Ooh.
It's a mechanical keyboard, and I'm very excited about it because it makes all the.
Oh, very, very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it's very good. It makes all the brain chemicals good.
I told you what happened to me at Frenzy, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, did you not hear how I placed again?
Didn't you miss by like a few percentage points?
Yeah. I was 17th place by 0.03%.
Hot.
Yeah.
That's the best.
So yeah, that was my weekend. So I don't know what it is about large Excalibur events, but I am officially cursed when it comes to that tournament series specifically. Everything else has been going great lately. Excalibur, nope. Wait, why is your name Do You Like Imagine Dragons?
Do you like Imagine Dragons, Ian?
I mean, yeah. Is this Imagine Dragons?
Imagine Dragon D's nuts!
Fuck.
I stole that from Griffin McElroy.
Yeah. The worst part is I realized it in bullet time and I was like, no.
I love the way of describing it as realizing it in bullet time. Yeah. That might be my favorite way of describing that. Max Payne. Oh no.
It's a D's and nuts joke.
Oh my goodness. Let's get into this shit. Last month, Ian, your honorable mention, you had Kefka Court Mage. What do you have for your honorable mention this month?
Yeah, so I got Rocco up here for the honorable mention. I told Cal a little bit pregame conversation here for this episode that I am going to go with the numbers for a few things, but also disagree with the numbers for a number of other things. Now, this one's sort of predicated on a little bit of both of those vibes, because Rocco, had no tournament wins this last month, had very few top fours, had very little tournament attendance in period, right? Like only 20 pilots played Rocco this last month, right? Yeah. But notably, one of the highest win percentages of decks that did not make a lot of top cuts this month, right? So like almost a 29% win percentage, right? Which to me is usually a really positive sign, right? Yes. It seems like Roccos are winning a lot in top 16 or getting into top 16, but it seems like the conversion there is pretty rough, right? It seems like that's kind of the Rocco brand right now. And I think it's a deck I believe in, right? I think it's hard because I think it's easy to play the deck poorly, right? I think you and I, once again, we were just talking about this pre-show. We talked the same thing about VV, right? And it's not necessarily that these decks are like super intensely complicated, but I think the best Rocco pilots have really good game awareness, right? They have the ability to develop their threats, but also be engaged in that defensive game, in that social game and stuff like that, right? Whereas I think people who just try to like play a bunch of mana dorks and assume they're going to get to turn 4 or turn 5 with Rocco and just kind of get there, those players tend to not thrive with the deck as aggressively.
Yep. No, I would fully agree. And I think there are decks like that. We were also mentioning Kefka as like a deck that kind of does this too, where because of what the card does, it kind of tricks you into doing some like not good play patterns.
Yeah.
And, like VV was the other card we were talking about like that, where it's just like, it kind of tricks you into like going for it in windows that you shouldn't go for it, or like pushing harder than you should when you aren't going to win, stuff like that. And, I think that is like a real problem with the deck. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with you there. I think there's just levels of like, especially because it looks like a normal, like, oh, let me curve out with the Mandork style plan, right? And if you're not used to the tempo of the format, right, it can be really, really punishing, right?
Yep. Fully agree. My honorable mention for the month is Tivit, Seller of Secrets. Tivit had a very good month, at least as far as what it had been previously putting up. took down a tournament, had, a handful of top fours, had a pretty good tournament top cut percentage as well, hanging around like 21%, which is, a good place to be, considering like the top decks tend to be around like 14 to 17% in that general area. So you're looking above average.
Yeah.
And, I like what Tivit's doing. I've been talking to a lot of Tivit pilots to kind of get a vibe for like what is going on in the metagame with it, how people are feeling, what stuff is working really well. Logan from Critical EDH and I have talked quite a bit about the deck and what he is trying out. And I think one of the notable things that has come out of that is how good stuff like Deafening Silence is and Grand Arbiter August and the Fourth is.
Yeah.
And, how good that is in this particular metagame we're getting. And so that's something that I've been really interested by is like what they are doing with those things and how, those particular stacked pieces are working out for Tivit. One of the things I love about Tivit is it's so adaptable to metagames.
Right.
Because it has like 10 to 15 flex slots. So it is something where you can really make it and mold it to what you need in any particular metagame. That being said, it's still here at the bottom of my power rankings list, just because of the fact that, you're still, working back into it. I don't know what it looks like. You had nearly 50 people playing it. And it had a good win percentage at 29%, but it dropped pretty hard there for a while. And I want to see a few more consistent months before I'm ready to say Tivit's back. But I could definitely say that Tivit feels like, it signed a couple promising 3-star prospects and is, really working the farm system. I'm mixing metaphors now.
I like it.
I like where Tivit's at. I think it's heading in a good direction. So I have Tivit here at what I would identify as spot 10.5. Ian, last month at number 10, you had Atali Primal Conqueror. What do you have this month?
Notably, I'm glad that actually was noted here because Atali very notably is not going to be anywhere near my list this month. Right? Same. I think it is like I want to take a minute to soapbox about that a little bit, right? Because if you look at the month of November by tournament entries, Atali was one of the most represented decks. It is the 5th most represented deck in the entire
top
format,
5. Like,
right?
That's huge.
It's Blue Farm, Kinnan, Rog Sai, Rog Thras, Atali, right? Like it's over TNT, it's over Sisay, it's over Ral, it's over Kefka, right? There are a lot of really good decks that Atali is seeing more play than. And the numbers are so bad.
9% top cut percentage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly. Like that is a truly awful conversion ratio, right? Like it is a deck that should be doing a lot better for how much it's seeing play. And I think, one of my main complaints about the format is how much people are relying on decks like this that don't do a lot of interacting, that do sort of just say, hey, whatever happens types of mentality. And those decks aren't winning, right? And I think that is very, very important to represent there. Now that I've completely talked about a deck not on my list, let's talk about Kefka, number 10. I still believe in Kefka. Kefka even had a win this month, feeling good about that. I would love to rate Kefka higher, and I'm doing my best at the start of this list to be a good boy and follow the numbers. But I don't know if it's the play patterns of the deck. I just feel like every time I pick up Kefka, the deck feels kind of wildly insane. And, not like fundamentally like unbeatable, right? But it feels like, oh, wow, this deck is just an extension of what I'm trying to do. It feels like it's doing what you want it to do very often, right? And when I see the numbers with it and then like the discrepancies with other deck lists and things like that, I don't know. I wonder if a lot of people are just, and this is kind of how I feel about Tivit and Kefka in general, is like I feel like a lot of people are just sort of defaulting to like, why am I not just playing Blue Farm mentality with a lot of these decks, which I tend to disagree with. But also, if you're a newer player, like, yeah, maybe you don't need to be like, and you don't feel that need to innovate, then sure, like jump onto Blue Farm, right? But like it sort of creates like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, right? with a lot of these deck lists. Anyways, to say, I think Kefka is still very good. I still think it's very powerful. I still think that the Turbo Grixis Kefka is the better Kefka. I've played against now multiple Kefkas, and every single time it's like mid-range gimmick Kefka. You like blow up the Kefka in response to one of their copy effects, and then they don't do anything for a turn cycle, and then they get sort of rocked, right? Whereas like when it's Grixis mid-range Kefka that has Kefka as a grind plan, like the deck just looks cleaner, to be honest.
Yep. No, I fully agree. I don't have Kefka at 10. I actually have it a little bit higher. So that's something to keep in mind, considering I didn't even have it on my list last month. But here at 10, this is where I have Kenrith, the Returned King. And realistically, we could probably just put 5-color turbo here writ large. 5-color turbo had a pretty good showing in the month of November, overall, whether it was Terra, whether it was Essica, any of these 5-color decks that you're seeing, that what I think we have in the past identified as like soup decks, are performing well right now. One of the reasons I have it lower is not because of its win percentage, because its win percentage is excellent. It's right up there, almost nearly 35%. It's not because of its top cut percentage. That's right around 26%. That's excellent. The reason I have it at 10 is because this has also been, from a results perspective, one of the most volatile archetypes in the format. That has gone very hard one month, and the next month nobody plays it. So, I look at it and I say it's good. I think you should keep an eye out for it. I think it's going to perform really well when you play it. Can I guarantee it's going to be at your, next tournament? No, because I don't like these decks notoriously get played in waves. And from a data perspective, that's what I see with them.
Well, interestingly enough, though, like something that to me stands out as a green flag, right, is like you're mentioning it gets played in waves. It's not necessarily that it performs in waves.
No, it doesn't perform in waves. It always performs well.
Right. And I think that's really interesting. I also think I'm not going to maybe dive too deep into this because I actually have this archetype a lot higher on this month's list. But this is Cal has finally given in and adopted my moniker of 5-color soup being its own individual.
I said Kenrith. I'm talking about Kenrith. And most of my decisions off of Kenrith, but I think when you look at it, it could also kind of be a blank, because like realistically, when you have Kenrith as the commander, you could take out Kenrith and put Terra there, and it would not fundamentally change the deck that much.
Yes and no. So I did a little digging because I saw 2 Kenrith wins last month, and I said, wait a minute, when did Kenrith win anything? And I looked into it, and they're 2 like 50 plus people tournaments, right? And one of them's Atlas, right? Which notably, if you've ever seen Atlas's Kenrith list, it is the farthest thing from a turbo deck as possible, right? And that's maybe sort of a data outlier there to note, right? Because Atlas's Kenrith is like, he plays Tivit in the 99 as a value reanimate target and stuff like that, right? Like it is a dual caster style combo deck, right? This is not a there's not even the thought of an Adnos anywhere in between here, right? It's a 30 creature deck that features Mayhem Devil and Deadpool and Tivit and Wandering Archaic and Stunt Double, right? So like, I think that deck is very heavily an outlier for the scenario that we're describing here.
Right. No, I fully agree. What I am describing is like what I would say most people are on with these 5-color decks. Is kind of what we would identify as the soup version. So I kind of am just like, we could probably just talk about Essica and Terra and Kenrith.
Yes.
To some extent, even like, the first sliver, it doesn't really see much play, but I mean, I think the first sliver is also like, we talked about this before offline, but like, I think the first sliver is insanely well positioned in this meta game. And I would love to see somebody take it and play really, do something with it. And ultimately what I think it comes down to is just not sexy. Right.
I think so.
But, anyway, I like what I'm seeing out of it. So I have Kenrith here at 10. Ian, last month you had Lumra, Bellow of the Woods at number 9. What do you have this month?
I mean, you could argue, I think Lumra is probably like realistically a better honorable mention this month because Loomer still did fine, right? Yeah. But at number 9 this month, I have Tivit. I have a little higher than you do. I just think Esper is really good right now. I keep, my motto lately has been, hey guys, white's really fucked up. And kind of wish I was getting there, but like it's legitimately been a really easy default sentiment for this format right now. And so noting that, thinking about that, right? There's a lot of really interesting stuff with what it means to like be in the blue-white space, all those advantage engines, all that kind of stuff. And I do agree with like some of the assessment. I know you mentioned like talking with Logan about it because he's been pushing that deck a little bit harder than and it just, further affirms my feeling that there are so many decks in the format that are just sort of being defaulted to like, well, why is this not this right now? And I really don't know what it is about right now. Maybe we just have enough big tournaments that people are being lazy.
I think it's because of the discourse surrounding Tim Necrom is what it ultimately is there's a lot of online discourse surrounding it being the de facto best deck and the arguments around that. And I think that is ultimately where that comes from is that discourse.
Fair. And like it's a relatively placed discourse, right? Like, spoiler alert, we all have Blue Farm really high every month, right? But yeah, it feels like maybe there's a lot of decks that are right now that are just sort of being left to the side when people need to like push comes to shove.
I like what Logan has been doing with because he has been somebody who has traditionally not played Tivit. He's not, like an established Tivit pilot or whatever.
Right.
And so a lot of his perspectives I've really appreciated. They've been really fresh. Yeah. And it has been excellent to, have those conversations. And like, he's kind of pushed me on some of my preconceptions about like what I think the deck should look like and how I prefer to play the deck. And I really appreciate that. I love that in the conversations. So
I also got to shout out Khalil as well. While we're talking about Tivit pilots who
100%.
Is like
I couldn't remember the name, and as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah.
Khalil has been playing that deck forever, and like if you look at his list, it is so many specific choices, right? Like he was the one who was doing the show and tell to put in my rel type of deck, right? Like things like that, but like legitimately making very intentional choices to include very interesting cards that like people are not going to be expecting, right? And I think there's something really, really strong about that, right? And there's some really, really cool stuff. I don't know, just available right now in this format. And I think the space feels bigger right now, and I really like that. Which is weird because, like, at the end of the day, like I was struggling for a little bit with this format, right? There have been days where I'm like, everyone's doing turbo. This is blah, 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 right? But like the problem is, I feel like a lot of the creativity comes in the mid range soup space, right?
Right.
Which is like. That's not.
It's not sexy. It's not sexy at all.
It's like, okay, cool. My mid-range 5-color pile can do some unique stuff, and it's like that's cool. And I hate that that's the most exciting thing right now. You know what I mean? I think as soon as we like leave this like turbo reversion, then it'll be a whole thing. But we'll see what's up with that.
Meanwhile, I love it. I am such a mid-range slop. I am the target audience for mid-range slop.
Yeah.
I love it. Every second of it.
Yeah, and I guess to clarify, right? Like mid-range slop was a couple months ago, right? Like that was when everyone was doing mid-range slop, right?
Yes.
And that was different because you could innovate in that space because essentially every game was going long. So you said, okay, cool. Like there's all this space to explore, right? But these games are going long, right? But when things are sort of fast, it essentially means that like you have to be playing good stuff enough so that you can survive those early anti-turbo turns and then convert over into something else, right?
Yeah,
that's I think more where the concern comes from. Because I do love a good mid-range game, right? Like you'll see me jam a Seaborn Muse just like anybody's business, right? Like you know me, I love that shit. But
I do know you, in fact. Moving on up, number 9 for me is Kefka Court Mage. This is where I have Kefka. We've talked about this pretty extensively on the show. Again, I think Kefka continues to occupy the same space as Tevish Crom did. Whether it was like a year ago at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I think it occupies a very similar space. It's that like turbo Grixis deck that has a good advantage engine in the command zone, and I would argue this is a better advantage engine in the command zone than Tevish Crom.
Oh yeah.
I like where Kefka's at. I think it has kind of, I don't want to say it's righted the ship, but I feel more confident in Kefka now than I did, 30 days ago. One of the things that I thought was really impressive was in the computer rankings that I run is it's moved up in the computer rankings based on, its performance last month. So I think that's been very telling of a good, positive trajectory with it. I still ultimately, like what we said at the top of the show, God, that hurt. It's the arm that I got my flu shot in, and I forgot about it, and then I moved it above my shoulder and was like, oh, ow. But yeah, going back to what we were saying at the top of the rankings is I do think that Kefka is one of those commanders that can kind of trick you into playing poorly. And that is one of the things to keep in mind with that. I think when you're evaluating and you're playing a deck like this, I think you need to be cognizant of that. And if you feel like you want to push, maybe that is a good indication that you should maybe be a little bit more conservative than you feel like you should be. I'm not telling you to distrust your intuition all the time, but with Kefka, I think Kefka and VV and Atali and all of these decks are really good at making you feel like, oh, I got to push. And, maybe just be a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
But that's what I have here at 9. Number 8, Ian, you had Ral Monsoon Mage last month.
Yeah.
What do you have here this month?
He's our favorite little twinks around. But for now, we're going to talk about Dargo Timna.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dargo Timna is doing fine. It's had kind of a shit month since it kind of had its spotlight blown up.
Yeah.
Which is weird because honestly, seeing it only played 50 times for the whole month, I was a little bit surprised by that because it felt like everybody and their mother was talking about Dargo Timna. It felt like after Fishbowl, it was like, oh, hey, did you guys know about this Dargo Timna deck? It's Dargo and Timna and also Dargo Timna. And that was like a whole slew of that. But for some reason, only 50 people showed up with it. Don't get me wrong, 50 is still, half the numbers that I just talked about for Atali, right? And 50 is a third of, some of the other top decks, right?
Right.
It's a 6 of Blue Farm, but I don't know. Feels like Dargo Timna was kind of popping off. It's still got a couple top 4s last month, couple top 16s. I think it's a deck with a lot of potential.
Yeah.
It's also another one of these decks that's, I guess disclaimer. Hey, everybody, cEDH is a really complicated, nuanced format, and it has never been more difficult to perform in this format. It is the most difficult time it has ever been to be a good cEDH player. It is the most difficult time it's ever been to do well in a cEDH tournament. So if that's something you've done or have done or do at a larger event, congratulations, you are a good player. That being said, right, this is a very complicated, nuanced format with a lot of crazy stuff going on, right? So, you look at a deck like Dargo Timna, and that is a lot to digest. It is a lot, right? You have to have your sequencing down. You have to get Dargo math like it's the back of your hand. You have to know when you have good windows. You have to know when you have to play a more controlling role, even though you don't have access to blue, right? There's actually a lot of subtlety and nuance to that deck. And yes, sometimes you have the hand that goes turn 2 Peer in the Abyss, go burr. But that realistically, I would say would be super not fair to a lot of Dargo Timna pilots to say that is even close to the majority of cases for that deck. I think it's actually a deck that requires a decent amount of skill and sequence.
The majority of Dargo Timna pilots that I have known and interact with and see online and see who do good with the deck have insane amounts of reps on the deck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ridiculous amounts, even if it's just goldfishing, right? Those people have reps on decks that I couldn't even dream of. Also, did you notice the dog just moved into frame? She got closer.
Yeah, let me blow up your screen a little bit. Oh, hello, little nugget.
Yeah.
You're so cute. Look at your little
She
face.
discovered that she could sit on the bed or on the couch while I'm in here, and it's now her favorite place to sit in the entire house outside of
She loves you. It's so cute.
But yeah, Dargo Timna is pretty It's pretty solid. It's not a bad deck. I do not have it in my top 10, believe it or not.
Makes sense. It had a pretty mid month.
It had a rougher month, so I don't have it yet in my top 10. My number 8, though, this is where I have Thrasios Tymna, rebounding a bit from last month. And I will again say what I always say about Thrasios Tymna is when you string together multiple months of results like this, we can have a conversation. But I do want to point out that even in the month where it had, a slightly above average win percentage, 2 tournament wins, it only had a 10% top cut percentage. So like, it still has holes that need to be fixed. And that is something to keep in mind. I like Thrasios Tymna. Like I said a little bit ago, I like mid-range decks. But, I think that there, again, this is a deck that tricks you into thinking that you can play a certain way. Like, it's like it's like the opposite side of the like Kefka Rocco coin, right? Where it's like, instead of it being like, oh, you could push really hard, it kind of tricks you into like being too conservative. And I think that has been my assessment of what I see from these decks. But overall, I still like the deck. I think the deck construction is really what, I think it's fine. I don't have any huge complaints about what I'm seeing from the construction. I just think people need to figure out how to play it. That's how I feel about it. Moving on up. Number 7, Ian. What do you have here at number 7? Last month you had Dargo Tymna here.
I got Ral here.
Okay. Moving up.
I think Ral is still doing really well. Yeah, it's so tough because, like, man, I know what this deck is capable of, and I've seen it high roll, but every time I see it low roll, I just lose so much respect for it. But it's one of those decks. It's like, yeah, a good pilot will push the envelope with it all the time. It's a deck that puts up results. I feel like it isn't doing it on the larger scales as much right now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I feel like I'm seeing more people I know and associate as RAL pilots starting to bubble out of tournaments right now. So I think that there is definitely something to be said about that. I think that RAL is decent, but I think its numbers earn enough respect for it to be here at 7. I think it is a good deck if piloted correctly, but hey folks, non-deterministic storm is extremely difficult. So there's that. And also, sometimes like when I played RAL the first time I played at a tournament, so I've played it like 1.5 times, I would say. Yeah, sometimes, someone plays a Aether's Sworn Canonist and then puts a Lightning Greaves on it, and you go, wow, there is no physical way I could even come close to winning this game. Okay, cool. Like, it just, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to put decks in the top 10 that have that type of qualification, but there are going to be decks like that on here, and it's so weird for me sometimes. It's like to look at decks without those types of tools and be like, yeah, I guess, like, obviously I described an extreme scenario. It's an extreme scenario I happen to be a part of, but it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it feels strange to top 10 decks that like fail to a lot of corner cases, but at the same time, if the meta's not throwing up those corner cases, decks like RAL are going to continue to thrive, right? And more so than decks like Atali, I think.
No, I fully agree.
Yeah.
I also have RAL here at 7. I co-sign everything you just said.
Yeah.
I can't really disagree with it much. I think that it's like a Storm in Modern. It used to be, right? Where it's like, it's good. It will always be on the periphery, and it will always be a deck that you need to worry about.
Right.
But I do think that it's hard to play, and when you get deck players who are really good at it, you got to watch out.
Yeah.
Number 6, Ian. This is where you had Rog Thras last month. What do you have this month?
I'm also realizing I definitely moved a couple decks around on this list, and I definitely accidentally at 2 points deleted 2 decks I wanted on my top 10. So we're gonna adapt. We're gonna adapt. It's fine.
Sure.
some of these decks probably should have been pushed off the list by some of these other ones, but we're fine. Right now at number 6, we're looking. This is where I have Le Soup. This is where I have the 5-color soup options. Kenrith, crazy month. Essica. If you add Essica on top of Terra, on top of Kenrith last month, looks pretty good. Now, notably, I'm not saying Sisay here. Sisay very often is still traditional chain Sisay,
it's its own thing, right?
Yeah. And if it's not tutor chain Sisay in the sense where it's a walker Sisay, it's Peregrine Dynamo Sisay, right? Or it's or it is original walker Sisay, or it's something like what I was messing around with like Marvin Sisay, right? Like there is almost always some allowance for you to go to combat with something or go through your chain, just like go through and just do the infinite chains, right? Like that is seeming to be the premier Sisay strategy. Anyways, that's once again not what I'm talking about right now. Right now we're talking about 5-color soup, and I think a part of this that we haven't talked about yet was Avatar. Avatar helped green. Avatar helped the soup decks. Avatar helped a lot of things. Now, obviously, Badger Mole Cub is something that we need to talk a lot about later, right? But right now we're talking about Cabbage Merchant. And Cabbage Merchant feels like the first time in a long time people are going, well, yes, but this is actually why I want to be playing green over playing something like Blue Farm, right? This is the first time people have gone out of their way to vocally be like, no, I want this card in my deck, so therefore I'm going to consider playing green. That does not happen very often unless we're talking about green-specific strategies vis-a-vis Cradle stuff, right? And so I think it's a new world a little bit post Cabbage Merchant. I've definitely had some pretty garbage merchant luck, if I'm being honest. I know a lot of people are talking about the high rolls in this card, but I've also seen it be amazing in games against me. So I definitely respect the hell out of the card. I think it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's much better against the sloggy games, the really Mystic heavy games, or really good against the turbo decks, right? Like you can get down to Cabbage Merchant against a Ral or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden you're holding up like 3 mana for their storm turn, right? And you're actually able to like interact with them, right? So there's definitely different nuances, different spaces where that card is thriving, but it's giving a lot of life to these soup decks is the TLDR, right? And allowing them to play either turbo or mid-range strategies against these other decks in the format while also developing their own plan, right? Which is like all the broken engines in the format are all things that allow you to develop your own plan while also gaining a ton of advantage, right? Mystic Remora, Aristic Study, S Sentinel, Smothering Tide, etc., right? They are scaling to how fast the whole pod is going.
Right.
Notably, Cabbage Merchant also very bad against the other creature decks, right? Bad against Rogthras, bad against Sisay, bad against certain versions of Kinnan, right? Like notably something to keep in the back of your head when you're trying to get good play patterns of Cabbage Merchant going on, right? Because those are the pods where it's going to trigger like twice, and you're gonna be like, wow, I'm glad it was a 3-mana Birds of Paradise.
Right.
But all that being said, I think the soup decks look really good right now. I think the flexibility of soup decks is really nice because they can be more turbo and they can be sort of this. I mean, we have enough good engines where mid-range with specific payoff related to which specific commander you're using is a really nice place to be, right? Like Kenrith gets the Weirdtivity reanimating stuff, and Asika gets random legends. I think that's, in my opinion, the worst of them, but for some reason keeps being the one people choose. I think Terra gives you Food Chain and gives you weird blinky LED flicker shenanigans, right? Like each one sort of gives you an aesthetic that allows you to flex its uniqueness while also recognizing that each of them, is somewhat limited compared to more polarizing commanders, right? Things like Thrasios and stuff like that. So that all being said, I think soup is in a really good space. I definitely would mess around with something soupy moving forward. And this is we're doing great. I'm going to talk just long enough.
I woke her up. Oh no, her little tongue is sticking out while she's sleeping. It's just
I have to respect it.
Oh goodness. Fun. My number 6, this is where I have Sisay. Sisay, solid. That's great. I'm glad that you took a screenshot of that. I'm gonna send you the actual picture here in a moment once I'm done talking.
For the audience who doesn't see this, I took a screen cap of Cal taking a picture of their dog.
But yeah, Sisay here at 6. It's come down a little bit from where it has been in my rankings and also in my computer rankings. Mostly because of the fact that it didn't convert any top wins this month. So, that's a bummer. But
yeah,
that's a bummer that it didn't win any tournaments. Here's a lot of stuff that's not a bummer though. 30% win percentage, not a bummer. 24% top cut percentage. That's real good. Where it gets sad is when you look at the top 4 in the tournament wins, because then it drops to a 5% top 4 percentage, and then no tournament wins. That's where it gets sad. That's why I don't have it in my top 5, but I still think that like the numbers can kind of justify it being here.
Yeah, I sort of agree with the general sentiment, right? Like it's I think we just run into this place with this deck where you know what? I'll talk about it later. It's higher up on my list. Okay. You get the point. At number 5, I have Roxai.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I'm aware Roxai had a crazy month. I just keep seeing it get its weenie stomped on in game. And like in the tournaments I'm playing, and it's not like I'm slowing down at all, right? Like I literally had one weekend where I didn't go to a tournament last month, and it was because I was at PAX Unplugged, right? And I haven't had a weekend where I haven't gone to a tournament this month, right? So it's not like I'm like out of the loop. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I feel like there are some good Roxai pilots who show up, and they especially like take down some like medium small tournaments, right? And not small, but medium-sized tournaments, right? And I just feel like the deck is still very good. I don't know. I feel like people are back to taking it seriously. At least like I haven't been in a pod where people haven't taken it seriously, right? And sometimes it's me, right? Sometimes I'm the guy, but like I don't know. It's just it's a deck that I think like still has respect on its name, right? It still wins more games than it should, to be honest. And that isn't an indictment on Roxai. That's more an indictment on like everyone should be having that pregame conversation of like, no, really, you cannot give them an inch. Like, no, for real.
I can't understate that enough. You can't, and I've said this in games before too, and people are like, it's just Roxai. And I'm like, no. It's not just Roxai. You cannot let off the gas. The moment you give them a window, it's over. They could be hellbent. It doesn't matter.
That's the thing with that deck too. And it's like, they resolve a Mystic, they resolve a Ristic, whatever, right? Like they just their game is never altruistic, right? They're never there to be like, hey, listen, I'm here to back you up, right? The Roxai game plan is always a greedy one, right? Now occasionally you see wrong side run around, right? But like that's
an outlier.
Part of
that's
that.
Not the majority of these stats.
Which was very funny because of the Big CD tournament. I didn't realize I was in a pod with Wrong Sai until after the tournament. I was like, wow, they just had such a crazy slow start. Anyways, that's weird.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I also have a ROG deck here at 5, but mine is ROG Thrasios.
Yeah.
Rograk Thrasios had a better month this month than what it did last month. But I am still cautious with it. And I think most of why I have it lower in this top 5 is I like the white version of this deck more. Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I just like the white version more. And that's basically what I have to say. We've been saying this, we've been pounding this drum for months at this point of, man, white is good. Man, white is good. And white is good. And I like that more than the speed Rograk gives you. I don't know that the speed Rograk gives you is enough for me to play over, like something like Yoshi Thras. So that's kind of that's kind of it. That's it. That's the take.
Yeah. Yeah. I have more opinions on Cradle.deck game plan later in today's episode.
Number 4, Ian, you had Sisse here last month. What do you have here at 4 this month?
Well, to really change things up, I'm putting Sisse here this you sort of covered it, right? Like I definitely recognize that like not winning a tournament is a thing. But also I don't care about the win realistically. I think top 4 or top 16 numbers are way more important in this format. The individual variance of each and every game of cEDH is excessive, right? Like I've seen a lot of brilliant players lose to a lot of stupid things. And I'm not going to say the player who executed the stupid thing is playing a better deck, right? Like that's just not how that's going to work, right? It is a multiplayer format with a lot of variables in it. And yes, good players win a lot of games more often, right? Like that's not where I'm getting at this, but like it's more so individual tournament wins being at 0 for this deck isn't going to make me look at 20 top 16s from Sisse and try to discount that, right? Like that is a really solid number, and everyone else.
And I mean, historically, Sisse performs well in top 16s.
Yeah,
like but it just had a bad month as far as that goes. Historically, it does well post cut.
Right. And of any deck with more than 50 entries, right, it had the best top 16 percentage by a long shot, right? The next best one is down at Kenrith.
Kenrith
right?
is the next best one,
exactly.
and then it goes to Get Rog Monster.
right. And so, like for me, that is all really positive, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And if you look at the math of having as many representations as Sisse does, while also maintaining that high of a top 16 percentage, right? Like that is just green flag city, baby. Like, yeah, you know, maybe the really good players lost in top 4, right? Like, I can think of at least 2 off the top of my head, right? Instances of that happening, and at the end of the day, I think Sisse looks really solid right now, despite being in a meta that looks a little predatory towards it. It's just one of those decks. Like this happened to me at Frenzy. Like literally round 1, I was in 4th seat. Sisse was in 1st seat. They dropped 5 mana on turn 1. They dropped a Sisse on turn 2, and then they never resolved another spell. And it didn't matter because they played land drops and they activated Sisse and they activated Sisse and they activated Sisse, and everyone sat there with 3 counter spells in hand, and no one could do anything because they weren't drawing cards off each other's card draw engines because no one was doing anything.
Cal, why do you like cards that counter more than just instants and sorcery so much? Well, fellow listener, here's why.
For sure. I know.
I swear to God, I feel like I have to like yell this from the mountaintops once a week of just like, hey, maybe play more versatile answers than fucking miscast. Like,
listen, my miscast days are long behind me.
I know yours are. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the voting public. No, I fully agree with. I mean, I said it right when I was talking about it there. My number 4, this is where I have Yoshi Thras. And I like what I see out of Yoshi Thras. It had a worse month than it did last month, but I kind of am fine with it. Like overall, it was still like kind of performing right along like where it should, if that makes sense. Like I think last month that you saw a peak, and I think now you kind of saw more of what you should see, because its numbers were much more on the whole comparable to like what Timna Crom's average numbers look like and what Kinnon's average numbers look like. And so that was a good indication to me that the deck is doing well, that when it retracts, it doesn't retract low, it retracts back to, kind of the high mean, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I like what I'm seeing there. Yeah, not a lot of complaints with Yoshi Thras. I like the deck. I like white. I think it's really good. I like the Cradle strategy. I think it's a solid strategy. I just prefer the white variant of this over the red variant of this. That's literally what it all comes down to.
Yeah, agreed. I feel the same way. Which transitions me naturally to my number 3 spot, right? So for context, I mentioned earlier that I sort of had last minute scramble brain I accidentally left Rogsai and Tim Thrasios off the list, right? So originally I had Yoshi Thras where Rogsai was just because of the lack of representation, right?
Mhm.
But honestly, I feel great about this. So first of all, I forgot about Tim Thrasios. It did really well this month. Oops, probably deserves a spot in my top 10 somewhere. I don't know. Maybe put it at like
fine. It didn't do really good. It did fine. I had 2 people do really well. It had a 10% top cut percentage. What are we talking about? Out of 10 people made a top cut out of 96 people.
Okay, fair. It's fine. It had a good conversion to winning, I should say. Yes, you're right. It actually did not do super fantastic. So you know what? Maybe I made a great intentional choice. Actually,
this was super on purpose the whole time.
Yeah. No, it deserved to be like bottom of the top 10. To be clear, like this month, to be honest. That being said, I think it is like Timna Thrasios. We'll throw that out the window for the time being, right?
Sure.
Know that you are a good deck in certain pilots' hands, and then in other pilots' hands, maybe it needs a little bit of TLC. That being said, rolling back over to the Rog Thras / Yoshi Thras, I think the archetypes, despite me going into explicit detail about the differentiations between these two decks, right? They are still in the Turbo Cradle shell. Now, notably, for anyone who watched my video on my winning run with Yoshi Thras, right? Like, notably, I did a lot of work to separate Yoshi Thras from being narrowly in the explicitly Turbo Cradle strategy, right? Which is also really interesting because there's actually 2 permutations of every one of these Turbo Cradle decks, which is the minimal interaction, bunch of copy effects, sometimes going up to even as big as Nyx Bloom Ancient style, almost not semi-blue, but not semi-blue in nature, right?
And then you have the Sam Black builds.
yeah. The ones, well, no, Sam Black's actually doing his own whole thing, which
that's
is
fair.
Like,
that's fair.
Yeah. His is more like self-mill game plan.
I every time I look at his deck list, I'm like, man, this guy's cooking. And I love every second of it.
A little bit at Frenzy, and I definitely like I see where he's going with it, but I also like was in the game with him where he like milled 2 of his value lands.
He really that deck list makes me think of the like Elon going meme. Like that's how it feels to me in my head. Is I'm just like, man,
yeah. I
he's
mean,
going for it.
To be fair, like you got to put some respect on it. Sam,
he's a Hall of Famer. Like, come on.
Yeah, right. Like,
none of this is meant to be disrespect. I fucking love that shit. Yeah. I love the mad scientist shit.
Yeah. But all that being said, right? Like, I think obviously these archetypes got a major upgrade, right? Mm-hmm. And we are just starting to see, because we got Avatar halfway through last month, right?
Something like that.
So yeah, we're just at the tip of the iceberg, right? Obviously, green's being overrepresented right now because of that, right? But I mean, Badger Mole Cub's a messed up Magic card, right? Like no one's going to disagree with you there. Badger Mole Cub's kind of insane. Cabbage Man's a great pickup for these decks because, especially in Rog Thras when they don't have access to Smothering Tithe.
Right.
Pretty nice to have an equivalent.
And then you're Yoshi Thras and you're just like, I get both. Let's go.
Yeah. And then Yoshi Thras is like, oh yes, good. Another Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
But all that being said, like, I think these Turbo Cradle decks are looking good right now. As I mentioned,
them both.
And you mentioned the Bant variation is something that I definitely have a leaning towards, right? Obviously I've shown up with it twice. I've top 4'd and won a tournament with it, right? So like I'm happy to admit my own bias there, but I also will admit the bias of like every time I go do sleeve up Rog Thras, I look at it and I go, why am I not playing Yoshi? And then go over to play Yoshi, right? So like that, I don't know, that makes me say something. But that being said, like Rog Thras also just won Frenzy, right? So like clearly the deck works. And clearly people are doing well with it, right? And also Top Cut Frenzy as well, right? So Rog is a strong card. Rog has a lot of utility to it. There's a lot going on with this archetype. Needless to say, Avatar is a huge upgrade for it. Badger Mole Cub on a Cradle is so gross, right? Like it's just so much.
Badger Mole Cub on an Urza Saga 2 is like...
Yeah, that's some 60 card bullshit.
That's 60 card bullshit, but man, if you've seen it happen, it makes me feel things. So you have both Yoshi and Rog here at 3, I'm assuming, based on what you're saying.
What?
So you have Yoshi and Rog Thras here at 3 what I'm taking from that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I fucked up my list.
Okay. It's fine. All right, number 2, Ian. Oh, I guess I have to do my number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3. I have Kinnan here, moving up from 5 last month. I moved it up a little bit.
Oh, I understand.
Yes, I did not like Kinnan last month, and I like Kinnan more this month. Quite a bit more.
You
this
like
month.
Kinnan more this month? That is the biggest undersell of the
Had a good month. It was fine.
We have not had a deck contest Blue Farm with the amount of wins like this in months, right?
Yeah.
Like everything else has been like 2, 3, 2, 3.
But
right?
I don't judge just off of the total wins. Because if I look just at the total wins, then it's like whatever. I'm looking more at the like average.
Significant, right? Like it like no other deck has won as much or nearly as much as Blue Farm in months, right? That's my whole point.
But no other deck is represented the same way as those two decks. Like this is the point. Like when you look at what the tournament win percentages are, they're not that staggering when you look at it, right? Because there are plenty of decks that have like a 2-3, a 2-4, a 2-7 win percentage or tournament win percentage.
2 others above 50, but sure. I hear you. I hear you.
But the point being is that when you evaluate it not on the totality of wins, but on the average of the wins, both decks look a lot more okay than
Heard. Yeah.
And that's kind of my point. And that's why I will always, and that's kind of what I've always kind of been saying with the Tim Necrom discussion is like this. There's a reason why on my monthly standings that I post on Twitter, I stopped showing the total stats and started showing the average or the win percentages because that is more informative than
context is very important here.
Exactly.
For sure.
The full, like that is a better representation of its performance value than total numbers. So that being said, I like Kinnan a lot. I think it had a good month. When you look at what it has done across the board, the place where it was above average was at the tournament win percentage marker.
Yeah.
And that's where it had a very good month. The other perspectives, it was, above average on basically like slightly above average on win percentage, on top 4 percentage. It was actually slightly below average on top cut percentage. But like, I feel like that ends up just being a wash when you like factor in the other elements there, because then you're just looking at like, evens out to being like performing on an average line there at that point. And so that's where I'm like, I think that it is performing really well. I think that it looks really good. It continues to have the Kinnan issues of it has a ton of people playing them. And so the numbers look weird. And it's the same thing Tim Necrom has. The difference being is that Tim Necrom is just a better deck in every way, shape, and form. So it's easy. It just wins on its own a lot more than a Kinnan deck will, where a Kinnan deck needs you to be good at the deck to some degree in order to perform well.
Sure. I don't necessarily know that explicitly leads to the sentiment, a better deck in every way, right? Like I feel like you can have a deck that is easier for new players to pick up without it being explicitly and intrinsically better, right?
Tim Necrom is idiot proof is kind of
That's
what I'm getting at.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why I will continue to have it. But I mean, like you see, like its top cut percentage is above average. Its top 4 percentage is way above average for Tim Necrom. And, that is what it is. But I like Kinnan. I have it at 3. I don't think that it's bad at all. I think that it's strong. I think it recovered after having a really bad October.
Kinnan, right? Like that's the most Kinnan shit in the entire world, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
but the other thing that I keep reminding myself too is in the year 2024, I feel like we includes me, and I really mean me, overreacted heavily to Kinnan's results because we were looking at totality numbers instead of looking at like what are the averages looking at, because we look in that run that happened early on in 2024. It was not that unreflective of what happened in late 2024 where Kinnan retracted. We were we were just looking at raw numbers and not looking at the data filtered a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so like that is one of the things that like I kind of keep reminding myself, and I think that's why I am hesitant to move it back up to 2. Because it's doing well. So I'm assuming it's your number 2.
No way, right? Yeah. I think I agree with all of your points, and also
it is well established on this show that you like Kinnan so much more than I like Kinnan.
Yeah. Right. Like this is historically, but it's not just like favor for the deck, right? It's real life example. It's real, like me going out and slamming cardboard down and going like, hey, this is it's pretty broken. Like I had what I would consider a pretty rough run at Frenzy, right? Like I had a really bad time, if I'm being honest. Not because of the tournament organization or anything like that.
Baldy. He had a bad time.
No. Like it's more so like I was lied to on stream, followed by I had a player take me out for what I assumed was a named player assassination move, essentially. Which, by the way, that player lost to the player I said was winning the game. And essentially had the same thing happen on round 6 the very next day with a little bit more nuance there to that round 6 one. And I just think that is, like for having a rough run and still ending up in 17th, right? Like having multiple games that I flagged as like intrinsically rough runs of things, right? And then being like, cool, I still was a 0.03% off of making top cut with that deck. That is what I mean about Kinnan being broken,
to
right?
use a sports analogy for people out there. Ohio State has had called against it. Their opponents have had 2 holding penalties in the past, like I want to say 3 years called against Ohio State opponents ever, like period. You could argue they got into the position they were in the Big Ten championship game over the weekend because 3 insane holding calls didn't get called. Like, and it's still like Ohio State still wins national championships, is still really good. Like they're just that much better than, and I think that would be the comparison I would use here to some degree, is that you can get your legs cut out from under you and you're still able to compete.
Right. And that's I think the TLDR is like, you can have something go horribly, horribly wrong and Kinnan will still be an amazing deck, right? Like
I just really wanted to bitch about the holding calls.
Yeah, I could tell. It's okay. But all that to be said, right? Like I think I think it deserves this number 2 spot pretty vehemently. I think it's a very powerful deck in the format. I think it holds its own. I don't know.
Yep. I continue to have Rogsai at number 2. After last month, I like Rogsai. I like where it's at. I like how it's performing. I know you disagree on that, and that's fine. And historically, I have not been a huge Rogsai proponent, but I don't know. It's doing everything slightly above average, and I like that when you are at 130 entries. Anytime you eclipse like 100 entries and your numbers don't dip below average, you're doing something right. So
and I don't necessarily disagree on that level, right? It's more so the I guess like I would be interested to isolate the numbers on Rogsai and go like, okay, look at individual players. How did they do over several tournaments? Like, did they win one tournament and then scrub the next 2 and then win another tournament, right? Like,
well, I think that's why if you take the tournament wins out of it, right? And you look at like the top 4 percentage of like how many people are getting from top cut to top 4, like it is one of the better top cut percentages of all these decks with 50 or more entries. I think the only deck that has a better top 4 percentage than it is Tivit or Ral, one or the other. I think those are the 2 that have the good top 4 numbers that are over 8%.
Fair.
So, I mean, that's where I look at it, right? I would generally agree with you. If, the top 4 number was like closer to the tournament win number, I would be more inclined to agree with you.
Sure. And I did, to be clear, like, say I was starting this episode with, I will be disagreeing with the numbers just from experience.
Yeah, no, I mean,
month, right? Like,
but I mean, that was also why I had Kenrith lower, right? Is because you had like Kenrith with 3 top 4s and then 2 of those were tournament wins. And so that like skews so much because now you know for a fact that 2 people went on a run.
Sure. I was going
like with this, you can see a little bit more, a little bit more of a wider representation of what is happening with this deck. So
yeah,
I like it. I could make an argument that maybe it should be at 3. But I think when I don't look at the total stats and I look at the average stats, I just like, and I think part of this too is maybe like, I think it's just a style thing for me more. Like Kinnan is not a deck that I vibe with even a little bit. And Rogside, like I think people don't understand this about me because I play so much Tivit. I secretly love Storm. I just play a lot of Tivit.
Yeah,
but I love playing Rogside when it's available to play. I think it's a great deck. And so I think some of it might just be, some preference there, and that's fine. But that's that. And then Tim Necrom, number 1.
Yeah. Well, we're surprised. Deck's doing very well. Really. Yeah. It hasn't given us a reason to not put it there yet, right? In a while. And so, yeah. And the more people just default to it as a good deck means the more it's going to sort of just be a confirmation bias style feeding into it thing, right? The more
something we didn't talk about, I'm just realizing, is the unknown commander number.
Yeah.
I made a big deal about this on Twitter, and I am so happy this month because this was the month with the lowest on record portion of our like results being unknown commander. It was 7.36%. It is the first time that since we've started collecting this information, that unknown commander is not the most represented data point.
Proud ETOs.
It is the 3rd most represented data point, which is still not great. We're not out of the woods. I want to underscore that we are not out of the woods. We still have work to do, but we're heading in a good direction.
Yeah.
We've started moving properly.
We'll take it. We'll take a good direction. You know what I mean? Like it's so good comparatively, right?
Seriously. Like, I have listen, when I pulled these stats on November 1st, I think I took a screenshot and immediately sent it to you and Jeremy and was just like, yo, dog, let's fucking go.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I legit am very happy to see this, to be honest, because last month we were both like very clearly like, hey, this is a problem and things, it was
up to 21% last month.
Yeah.
It was over double.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And so, do I know for a fact that, us yelling into the void had any effect on this? No. Do I have a hope that maybe it did? Hell yeah. Does it matter where credit goes? Absolutely not.
I don't give a shit if I get credit or not. I just want the data to be fixed.
Yeah. It's great. It's working, right? Like whatever happened, let's do that, but more. Yes, whatever anyone out there did, or whether they listened and provided feedback to their organizers or whatever, like whatever feedback went out there, whatever way we fixed part of this problem, we cut it by 2/3. Hell yeah. Let's do it again next month. Yep. Right? Like let's continue this trend because data is so good for us, right? Like it allows us to know a lot of things about this format. And yeah, are we talking about, individual decks and their performances? Absolutely, right? But like, there's definitely a lot of like decks that we wouldn't respect as much in this format without the ability to look and click on the results and go like, hey, look at how well this is doing blanket overall, right? Like you can
Dargo Timna. I think Dargo Timna is a great example of that. I think Ral is a great example of that, where I think people would write those decks off if we didn't have numbers to back them up.
Mm-hmm. I think Ral even more so, right? Because Ral is one of those decks where it's like, if you look, when's the last time it like won a big event, right? Yeah. It's been a hot minute, right? But it's been sitting there performing for months. And we haven't taken it off our top 10 because of that, right? And like I think that all of that comes with a very good purpose to it. So yeah, everybody, please continue encouraging people to get those data points hard locked in, because it's just better for our format if we can
It's
actually
good.
share.
And the other thing too is it helps us when we go to communicate with like the Commander format panel, for instance. We're able to give clear information to them of like, here's what we're seeing. Here's what we are seeing from like a data perspective. And so like it gives us better stuff so that we can make the format look better and fix stuff in the long term as far as that goes. I mean, it is an important thing for us to know for a litany of reasons. I think everybody can understand them without me needing to go into them. But I just, for all the people who did, the stuff, thank you. Let's keep it up. So that being said, Ian, if folks are wanting to work on their Gitrog monster deck with you, Gitrog had a great month last month. I gotta say it. We didn't talk about it. It was I had a 33.5% win percentage and won a tournament. Like it had a good month. It doesn't get played very often, but
I'll talk about Gitrog if it does well next month too. Yeah,
we'll have a chat. But if people want to work on this new Gitrog that's getting played apparently, and they need Ian's expert coaching advice.
Yeah.
How could they?
If you want me to tell you such amazing nuggets of truth, like don't play Gitrog Monster. No. Hey everybody. For those who don't know the context, hi. I have one of the most diverse winning careers in all of cEDH. I've had more wins on different commanders than any other player. I've also been one of the only players to be one of the top players in the world for multiple years on end, and my intention is to keep doing so. I love this format. I've played a bunch of different decks and a bunch of different innovations and a bunch of different spaces, and I'm super excited to continue working with you all. I also have a sale going on for this month. So I had a sale going on for November, in which I was like, hey, if you book with me twice, you can get a discount on both those sessions. And then I realized, oh, hey, I was gone for the second half of November. So
I was gone for most of November.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's continue that sale. So if you book with me twice this month, you can get $10 off each of those sessions. Or if you are intending to gift somebody a session because it's the holiday season, there will also be $10
the holiday as well. Season.
I do this every holiday season, and I don't know. I like doing it. It's cute and fun, and it's really cute when people get excited about being gifted coaching. So something I really enjoy doing. And yeah, if you're interested in that, hit me up at comedianmtg@gmail.com or any of the places that Cal is nice enough to leave in the link tree down below. A lot of good stuff going on, a lot of good sales going on. So yeah, feel free to hit me up.
You'll be coming down the chimney now. Also, I want to just thank everybody who has been with us for this journey on the Mind Sculptors. It's been 5 years since I started this podcast.
Crazy.
Which is insane to me. 200 episodes for real. I can't thank people enough for supporting it and helping us get here. I want to, for the last 100 episodes, want to take a moment and thank my co-host here for being along with that. Because quite frankly, Ian coming on kind of saved my love for doing this. So, I'm glad to have you with me alongside of it. I'm glad that we can keep doing that. If you want to support us and see us continue to do this, head over to patreon.com/the Mind Sculptors, where you can support us there. Other ways that you can support us, you can use our Dragon Shield link to buy stuff. I believe we have a TCG player affiliate link that's in there somewhere that you can use to buy your cards. Things like that help the show out significantly, and I greatly appreciate that too. And if there's anything that you are interested in for how we can organize the Patreon in a way that would be appealing to folks, let me know. I'm more than willing to try and work on that stuff to try and get that in a place where people like it more. I love our fans. I love the people who support us. You guys are great. I feel like we've cultivated a really good community here. With the exception, I am gonna scold our community a little bit.
Oh God, what's happening?
Well, so we got our Spotify Wrapped. I was very disappointed.
Cal, are we about to cut off a huge chunk of our audience right now?
I'm sad. Okay. So Spotify does this cool thing for podcasts.
I also got to point out that Cal sent me this Spotify Wrapped that was he
thought it was my Wrapped.
Yes, I thought it was Cal's Spotify Wrapped, and I said, "Hey, do we need to talk about this?"
No. I'll you know what? Before we do this, I'll share you what my Spotify Wrapped was for.
Oh
podcasts.
yeah, it's going to be like
my most listened to podcast. My top 5. My number 5 was The Besties, which is Griffin and Justin's actual journalism they do, which is bizarre to listen to because they're serious on it. But they're very good. My number 4 was Pablo Torre Finds Out. I'm obsessed with that show. I love when Pablo Torre finds out.
I don't know what that means.
He is a sports journalist who does actual journalism, and he it's very intersectional, and I love it. He just did a whole thing about like Riley Gaines and kind of like discussing all of that stuff and like kind of the hypocrisy with some of what she's done. I love him. He's a great advocate, beautiful, like obsessed with that show. That's my number 4. Number 3 is Maintenance Phase, which is a health and wellness podcast where they talk about kind of shitty health and wellness stuff, and they kind of debunk a lot of those things. So I love that podcast. My number 2 most listened to podcast is My Brother, and Me. That should not shock anybody who listens to this show. If you're familiar with our show and theirs, you would know that Ian and I borrow from the McElroy brothers often.
Yeah.
And my number 1 most listened to show was If Books Could Kill, which is part of the Michael, I forget his last name, but the cinematic universe this guy has. He's also one of the hosts on the Maintenance Phase podcast. But If Books Could Kill is one of the hosts will read like a bestseller, like a nonfiction bestseller, usually like an airport type book, self-help book, something like that.
Sure.
And break it down, and they basically debunk these books and go through them, and they're lovely. Their latest episode, they just did an episode about the Elon Musk biography, so it's a very good listen. Highly recommend those shows. That's my Spotify Wrapped. I listen to that. What our audience listens to, number 1, The Command Zone. That's great, awesome. I'm glad you listened to The Command Zone. Number 2. The MTG Goldfish Commander Clash podcast. Hey, awesome. Glad you like that show. Number 3, our friends over at the Howling Salt Mine. We love that you like Sam and all of them over at the Howling Salt Mine. Number 5 is our good friend Dylan and Cam over at Play to Win. Where we have a problem and need to have a chat is number 4. It's the fucking Joe Rogan Experience. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why is JRE getting listened to by our... Come on. If I'm alienating Joe Rogan fans, I don't care. Hold on. I saved a quote from Joe Rogan earlier today last week to make sure that I read during our show, because it was one of the... And our listeners who are well listened to would probably have heard this read all, but Joe Rogan was on something and he was talking about AI, and he said, quote, Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, you don't think he could return as artificial intelligence? AI could absolutely return as Jesus.
That's not a real quote.
That's that.
He said that?
He said that in full sincerity. He was not doing a bit. Like, that was a real thing.
He said the second coming gonna be a robot.
He said second coming gonna be AI.
That's a choice.
Yeah, that's a choice. So, if you want good podcast recommendations, might I suggest If Books Could Kill, My Brother, and Me, Maintenance Phase, Pablo Torre Finds Out, The Besties. Those are some great podcasts to listen to. If you like gaming, The Besties is like such a good podcast. I can't recommend it enough. Also, another one, it's not on here because it only comes out once a year. Till Death Do Us Blart is one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, of course. What a classic.
That is every year. I look forward to on Thanksgiving Till Death Do Us Blart. But yeah,
I actually don't think I've ever listened to that one.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so funny. So for the people who are unfamiliar with Till Death Do Us Blart, it is a podcast that is solely about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Is it only about 2?
It's only about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
I didn't know it was only about 2.
It's only about 2.
Why is it? That's really funny.
And to me, so when I listened to it with Cassidy, she's like, well, I don't totally get the jokes because I have not seen Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. And I said, I think it's funnier if you haven't seen Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I think it's great if you haven't seen the movie. It's better if you haven't seen the movie, personally. But that is a great podcast. I love it. If you want good podcast recommendations, hit me up. I have tons of them. I listen to podcasts constantly. But yeah, I needed to razz our audience a little bit about that because that kind of ruined my Spotify rap day. Our audience could probably guess who my most listened to artist of this year was. And,
No.
If you would say Taylor Swift, you would not be wrong. I was in the top 2% of Taylor Swift listeners.
Jesus
or
Christ.
top 0.2%, excuse me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's us. Thanks for listening. I'm Cal.
I'm Ian.
Stay sculpty, everybody.